This is Jonathan Agnew here for Pro Boxing fans. I'm down here at BT Studios today with trainer Dominic Ingle. Liam Williams is back against Atlantis Fox. It's a WBO eliminator for the world title. How's Liam looked in training camp ahead of this, Dom?
Yeah, he's looked good. He fought a couple of months back. Wasn't a long fight, and he was back in camp 2 weeks later. He's trained long and hard for this one. He's in a great place. Fitness is fantastic. It's a big fight for him. It's a tough fight. Fox is tall. Ranger, he's going to be awkward. He's an American, he's confident. He's been in a world title fight before, and as you heard there, he made a couple of excuses why he didn't win. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. And if he did have them injuries, it's always going to affect his career because those type of injuries do affect your performances. But he's confident, and we'll see on the night what he brings. I just know that Liam's going to be the best version of Liam Williams when he steps in on Saturday night, and hopefully he wins.
He said in the press conference that finally Liam Williams has taken the fight. What did you make of those comments?
Well, with boxers, they get told a lot of rubbish anyway. For us, we had another fight planned, a WBC eliminator and that was, up and down all over the place. And maybe Fox was always in the backup plan. So whatever they're telling him, to keep him on track or whatever, I don't know. That's, whatever you do. But, we only knew really about this fight 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was mentioned before. He's an orthodox fighter, even though Frank said he was southpaw. I think Frank's obviously looked at his notes wrong. And I actually thought for a minute, I hope he's not a southpaw because we've been sparring orthodox fighters. But like I say, whatever they've told him, to keep him in the training camp, to keep him on point, I don't know. But it's never been an issue with Liam Williams. Liam Williams has never turned down fights or, tried to avoid fights. He'd fight every week if he could.
You mentioned him fighting against Andrade. He said sort of in the press conference as well that he wasn't totally fit when he fought Andrade. He had problems with his hands. Just a thought on those comments?
What he said is, I think he said he got injured in the first round. He said he tore his elbow, he tore this, and he managed to fight 12 rounds. Well, if that's actually true, if he had them injuries, I'm telling you now, you want to be able to pick his arm up. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't have gone 12 rounds. He'd have pulled out of that fight. You can't fight with torn bicep and torn tendons around your elbow and everything else. You can't. It's impossible. So, whether he's making his excuses before this fight, I don't know, or making an excuse why he didn't perform in that fight. It was probably a bit too soon for him. He probably got stuck in the headlights a little bit. And I don't even in 2017, I don't think Andre was switching himself on like he has now. So, when watching that fight, he just didn't do enough, Fox. And you've got a southpaw there. You've got Andrade who's a southpaw, which makes it actually more difficult when you're fighting a big, tall guy. And Andrade, handle him quite easily. So Liam Williams is an orthodox fighter. He's got to try and get inside of that jab, get the shots clean on his chin and start taking his legs away.
For you, how much of sort of a different fighter is Liam since he's moved up to middleweight?
Look, he's a good fighter anyway. I think with a lot of fighters, he did really well under Gary Lockett, and I think his probably biggest problem was he was at home being distracted with the people around him. It happens, and I think finally realised he's got to come away from home and focus 100% on the boxing. And like you said in the press conference there, he's been guilty in the past of not doing that, thinking he can just go in the gym, do his training and whatever, and then run around with his mates and not be sleeping. You can't do that. The level he's at now, the age, you have to do what everybody else is not doing. You have to put yourself away somewhere, lock yourself away, and discipline and dedicate yourself to your profession. And that's mainly where he's made his improvements. He listens a lot. He trains smarter. Sometimes he made his own choices in training. I think Gary, told him what he got to do, but I think Liam used to do extra stuff and take the edge off himself. So I think now he's just realised he's got to start listening to people who know what they're doing. He's away from distractions, and it's just showing in his performances.
Frank said the winner will probably face Demetrius Andrade next year. Is that the fight you want to see Liam in with? I mean, he's told me in the past he wants a trilogy with Liam Smith as well. Or is it the Andrade fight for you next year? Should he come through?
Look, whatever's, when he first came to me, I just said to him, look, just take whatever fight is put in front of you. You're a professional fighter, it's your job. It's not something you do for a couple of weeks of the year, it's your job. So no matter how good or bad they are, whoever they put in front of you when that fight gets past, just take the fight. Keep your momentum. Don't be looking and building your hopes on a world title fight and looking down the road and waiting 9 and 10 and 12 months for a fight, sitting being inactive. You're a boxer. Go and earn your money. You know, practice for the world title fights, get in there, do the rounds, and whatever presents itself. You're 27, 27 now. You've had 2 world title fights, or you've had a world title fight and eliminator, whatever you've done. Don't be wasting your time. Just get in and fight everybody, and that's how you come through. You'll win and you'll lose. Eventually, you'll get where you need to be. You know, you look at Johnny Nelson. He had 2 world title fights before he became a world champion. He was world champion for 6 years. You know, not everybody becomes a world champion in the first time of asking. It's how long you stay in the game, how well you educate yourself and discipline yourself, and you can still come good. You know, the likes of Callum-Brook, Ricky Hatton becoming world champions, Nazi Mohammed, it's great. Joe Calzaghe, but it's not for every fighter. And, you know, there's been some good world champions who, you know, Marvin Hagler wasn't the world champion at first time, well, he probably was at the first time of asking, but he had a couple of defeats on his record before he was world champion. He never stopped him, and look how good he was. And that's how you learn the lessons. You learn the lessons from the fighters of the past. So for Liam, you know, he's focused, he's doing everything good, and let's just hope he puts it together on the night.
Can you give me a prediction for Saturday night?
You know, Liam's talking about knocking this guy out. He's not a pushover, this guy. He's a tough guy. And, you know, I haven't got in my mind he's going to knock him out. It's going to be a tough fight. I think Liam's going to beat him on points. It's going to be a tough fight. He might have foxed down once or twice, or maybe once. It's going to be tough. It's going to be blood and guts. And I'm just expecting Liam to edge it.
Just want to move on to the rest of your stable. Let's start with Willie Hutchinson. When can we expect him next? He hasn't been out since September, I believe.
Yes, he's been in September. He's got married. He'll be out in the new year, which is good. He's training over Christmas. He's living in Sheffield now with his wife. So big things happening for him. He's 10-0. Kid Galahad, world title eliminator in February for Josh Warrington's IBF title. That's good. Callum-Brook also out in February, I believe. That'll be a nice fight. Obviously waiting to see what's happening with Billy Joe Saunders. He might be fighting in May. So that more or less takes care of everybody, to be honest. So we've got a busy time coming up. And, you know, as they say, there's no rest for the wicked.
Just on Billy Joe Saunders, obviously yesterday Canelo Alvarez vacating his WBO light heavyweight title. Do you expect Canelo to maybe choose Billy Joe Saunders, or are you looking more at Callum Smith unification?
Look, where Billy's at, he's a super middleweight WBO world champion. There's Callum Smith there, there's Canelo. I don't think he can lose either way. For me, I think a good move. You know, Canelo's got a lot of choices, and after Callum's last performance against John Ryder, I think it's a good fight for Billy. I think it is a good fight because it's an all British affair. It will do good numbers. People want to see it. And, you know, Billy didn't look like he performed well in his last fight. Callum Smith certainly didn't box well in his last fight. So maybe make that fight first and then see who goes on to fight Canelo. That'd be interesting, I think.
I mean, there's been talk about Anfield for that one. Would Billy be happy to travel to his backyard?
Listen, Billy will travel anywhere. He's a traveller. He don't care. You know, once you're in that ring, it doesn't matter where you are, does it? It doesn't matter where you are. He doesn't get fussed by crowds or, you know, anybody against him. Look, when he went to Canada and beat Lemieux, it was a hostile crowd. He just laughed, but you could hear a pin drop in that arena. And, you know, Billy just does his stuff. So hopefully he gets the big fights. You know, he's 30 now. He's been hanging on. He's done what's asked of him. And let's just hope the big fights come his way in the next 12 to 18 months. And he capitalises on that, makes a load of money, and then sails off into the sunset.
Now, just on Callum-Brook, you mentioned him out in potentially February. How frustrating has this been, a period for him, a year and over a year out? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, listen, I don't know how frustrated he's been. He's been in the gym, he's doing his own thing, and things happen for a reason, and the choices you make, you know, lend themselves to that happening. So, you know, I'm not too concerned how frustrated he is. He's a boxer. He's 33 years old. He's 34 in May. He's got to get his finger out and get on with it. You know, he's had a good career. He's been a world champion, and if he's got any intentions of doing anything in 2020, he's got to make every day count. So, you know, let's see.
Is there any progress with the talks with Amir Khan at all?
Listen, it's not even a subject to talk about anymore. It's been going on forever and a day. You know, I'm just more concerned with how fit Callum-Brook is, what his next fight is. It's certainly not Khan. And the other fighters in the stable, you know, let Khan maybe change his hair from blonde to red for the next couple of months, or from red to green, maybe like the guy today, the Japanese fella, and he might get a bit more attention off that. But at some point he's going to have a fight in it, and it's a case of who's out there to fight him. And for me, really, the only option, I might be wrong, is for him probably to go out on his in his last fight against Kel, hopefully.
Final two, Tyson Fury obviously this week splitting up with Ben Davison. What were your thoughts on that? Just 9 weeks from the potential Wilder fight.
Not too much really. You know, he's had a good run under Ben. Ben's had a good run under him. Sometimes you do get a bit tired of each other. Don't know the ins and outs of it. It doesn't. I'm ambivalent really. You know, Tyson does his own thing. where he's at now. He's a big name, he's a big fighter, he knows his own stuff and he makes his own choices. So they've obviously had a talk about it and they decided to move on. It's not on my radar, it's not anything that's going to affect me. It's not something I think about. You know, Tyson's a good fighter, Ben's a decent trainer. You know, somewhere down the line they might get back together, who knows.
Who's your pound for pound top 3 at the moment in the world?
I don't have any.
Don't have any?
No.
Final one. Dom, you've been in the game a long time now. What sort of motivates you to continue on?
Is this the final of the final of the final 2 to the final 1 of the final 3 of the final 1? Well, because it's something I enjoy. I've got relative success. You know, even though we've got decent fighters in the gym, there's a lot of other stuff goes off in the gym. You know, we have other groups of people. We train boxers for other stuff. It's not just to have fights. You know, it's discipline. It brings kids through. It disciplines them. So it's a bit of a community where we are. So you know, even when there's not big fights going on or people boxing, there's always something happening. There's always colourful characters coming in and out of the gym. And that's what motivates you. And as long as I enjoy doing it, which I do, I'll keep doing it. There'll be a day when I'll probably get sick to the back teeth of it and I'll pack up. But for now, you know, the good times are good, and you know, boxing's moving in the right direction. Everything's good at the minute.
Thanks very much for your time, Dominic Ingle, and best of luck on Saturday night.
Thank you.